All right, class. This is our last week of school, and we're now in penmanship. And this is Tuesday, May 12th. So, today we will be working on lesson 121, and we're talking about, let's see. No, we'll be working on lesson 123. And our objective is to demonstrate comprehension by answering questions and applying creative ability to develop the setting. So where does the story take place? That's a question that you need to ask to develop the setting. Where does it take place? Where does your story take place? Where does the story when does the story take place? Is the next question. Where does the story take place and when does the story take place? Then you want to ask this: what is the character seeing? And what is the character hearing? What is the character smelling? And what is the character feeling? So those are some things that you want to think about. They're like the your senses. First, you want to know, where does the story take place? When does the story take place? What is the character seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling? You want to ask those questions. Okay, now you will use your notebook paper or you may write in your journal. It is fine either way you want to go. You can write on notebook paper or you can write it in your journal. So you're going to prepare a space theme. You can look at a video on the internet if you like. If you don't already have an idea about space, you can ask your parents to allow you to watch a video about a space, anything about space, astronauts or the stars, whatever. So, but you want to have a character in mind. So, the parts of a story are the setting, and that's what you're going to be concentrating on, the setting. Have you ever read a story and felt as if you were in the story? Did you feel as if you were with the characters? If you have read a story with a good setting. The setting tells where and when the story takes place. Developing the setting. Today, you will be writing a story about what it would be like if you were an astronaut. Okay, so what would it be like to go into space? What would it be like to explore space? Would you live on the International Space Station? As you write the story, think about what your setting will be. A good story allows you to picture the setting by using good describing words. Good describing words. These questions will help you develop the setting for your story. Think about the questions that while I read a story. Be ready to answer questions when I have finished. This is a story that I'm going to read to you. If I were an astronaut, I'd visit the moon in a space shuttle. I would wake up very early in the morning to go to the launch pad. Not lunch, like you eat lunch. Launch, like where something takes off from. I'd listen for the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I'd hear a zoom and smell the rocket fuel. My chair will shake. My stomach will turn, and that's how I'll know I'm on my way. The sky will grow darker with every mile. Then I'll begin to see billions of stars everywhere I look. The moon will look bigger and bigger until at last I land with a thud. I'll put my helmet on tight on the top of my spacesuit to help me breathe. When I step out onto the dusty moon, I'll step slowly because there's little gravity to bring my feet to the ground. I will feel as light as a balloon while I explore. After looking at the rocks and craters, it will be time to head home. As I race back to Earth for lunch, I'll look to the side and see Mars. That's where I'll go next time. So, where does this take place? Where does the story take place? In a space shuttle in space on the moon. And when does the story take place? In the morning. So you want to know where and when. Those are the first two things that you need to think about. Where, and when. Where does the story take place? When does it take place? So writing a story with a good setting, when you're thinking about the setting of your story, you must think about what the character sees, what they see, what they hear, what they smell, and feel. Did you hear those things in the story I just read? What did the astronaut see? He saw the sky, he saw stars, the moon, and all of those kind of things. Mars. So, what did the astronaut hear? He heard rocket fuel. And what did the astronaut feel? What did he hear? He heard the countdown, the zoom, and all kind of things like that. What did the astronaut smell? He smelled rocket fuel. And what did the astronaut feel? He felt a trembling, a shaking in his chair. He felt light like a balloon. Okay? So now, in your creative writing, If I Were an Astronaut is your title. If I Were an Astronaut. Your information gathering is astronauts can grow taller in space. Due to the lack of gravity, their spine stretches while they are in space. Your spine back here, it stretches and it makes you taller. Bread is not allowed in space as crumbs can be inhaled, get into one's eyes, or damage equipment. So you will have no bread in space. It's not allowed. It takes less than 10 minutes in a rocket to get into space. Okay, let's develop a good setting. Here are the questions that you need to ask. Where does the story take place? Will you be in the rocket? Are you living on the International Space Station? The next question is, when does the story take place? Are you leaving in a rocket early in the morning? Are you eating dinner or getting ready for bed in space? Okay, and to help you continue to develop your setting, there are some other questions you should ask. What will you see? What does Earth look like from space? Those are things that you could see. What does a space shuttle or the inside of the spacesuit look like? You could certainly see those things. Another question, what will you hear? You could ask these questions. How does a rocket sound? Do you hear other astronauts? Is being in space quiet or loud? Another question you can ask is, what will you smell? Can you smell the rocket? What does space smell like? What will you feel? Is it hot or cold in your spacesuit? What does water feel like in space? So now in writing the story, you're going to write the title, Astronaut Story. You can write it on notebook paper or whatever. You can write it in your journal as long as you write it. I would love to read some of your entries. I know they will be fascinating. So if your parents want to upload them to me, it's not for a grade. It is just for me to enjoy. You have become great writers now. So continue the process in writing your setting in your astronaut story. Okay, that is the end of this lesson.